What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Odin coming back with another video, and today we've got the box office breakdown for this weekend of January 17th to January 19th. Now, as you can tell, I am not at home right now. I am on location in the hometown of New Orleans for me, so please bear with me as I use my old Blue Snowball microphone, just like Jay, just like my main man, Drunk 3PO does all the time. And here we jump into the box office numbers. So the big news, of course, is the fact that Disney's Rise of Skywalker has dropped another 45%. So these massive drop-offs continue. It is now left 1,221 theaters. The grip of Disney on the theaters to make the film stay in their locations for the first few weeks has now been lifted. And so now theaters are saying, hey, this film is toxic for many of our locations. Let us get it the hell out of here. And it has dropped now to number 5. So it was at the number 2 spot last weekend, had been a number 1 for a very long time. And Star Wars, a Star Wars movie, yes, indeed, it is now in its 5th week. But Star Wars is now, at this point in time, coming in at number 5, where Jumanji: The Next Level, which has been out for 6 weeks now at this point in time, has another very good 32% drop and has now made more in a weekend, 9.5 million. So Jumanji: The Next Level having some very, very good legs at this point in time, while Rise of Skywalker continues to bottom out. And we'll go ahead and dive into those numbers, comparing it to Rogue One, which is something that I've been doing over on the main channel in a little bit. But Bad Boys for Life is, of course, the new movie coming in this weekend with $59 million, a pretty strong domestic opening weekend. Doolittle coming in at 22.5, very, very far behind Bad Boys for Life, and many are suspecting that because of the incredibly massive budget of Doolittle, even the star power of Robert Downey Jr. is not going to be enough to make this film profitable, is what many people are expecting it to be a flop. 1917 has another strong showing here, dropping to the number 3 spot after it had opened in, or rather after its wide opening went to number 1 with only a 40% drop. Added more theaters, made $22 million. And then, of course, Jumanji and Star Wars after that with Just Mercy. That's right, Just Mercy, which is an independent film featuring Brie Larson, of all people, is coming in just $2 million behind Star Wars here in its 4th week. So really not all that much differentiating as far as release schedules. Sony, Walt Disney, and Warner Brothers into their 3 movies respectively. And Star Wars is continuing to not perform nearly as well in the long run as some other films it has in the past. So Bad Boys for Life, as you can see, domestic box office at $59 million, so very strong showing. We don't really know exactly what it's going to be doing overseas. I doubt that this film is going to really take hold over the overseas market. It is MLK weekend, so therefore Bad Boys for Life is likely going to have a pretty strong, continuing on into Monday as well. So we'll have to look back at those numbers in a little, obviously in a couple days. Doolittle, $49 million opening weekend, which you might say, it doesn't seem that terrible. But when the production budget is $175, that's right, $175 million production budget. A $49.8 million opening weekend is not good at all. Once I get home, I will be punching in the numbers into this Excel sheet to show you exactly what kind of losses this film is set to have, because remember, production budget is only a small piece of the pie, but this film is definitely set to bomb. 1917 has now reached $138 million, so it is still making money here domestically and overseas, and will likely be at the point of profitability pretty soon if it has not been so already. Jumanji 3 comes in, continuing to make money. It has already made well over $100 million in net profit gains. That is likely going to continue. And then, of course, we are now at The Rise of Skywalker, which is indeed across $1 billion, but is only $5 million across the $1 billion mark here in its... Lord, it's just, seriously, the more you think about this film and you compare it to other films, you realize that, the media can try and spin the comparisons all they want, but when Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, which, again, I know many people on this channel personally thoroughly enjoyed. I did not like it. I did not think it was as good as many people thought that it was, but, again, we have obviously differences of opinion there. But when a film like Rogue One, which is not a part of the episodic series, which is not a part of the main canon of the storylines, is now in that time in history when that film came out, making more day to day before you adjust for inflation, by the way, that is a terrible sign of where the current state of Star Wars is. And let's go ahead and look at those numbers. So as you can see, the 5th Friday, 5th Saturday, and 5th Sunday is where we are in the comparison. Rogue One made $3 million. versus Rise of Skywalker making 1.9. And again, that 3 million is before you adjust for inflation, meaning that was a much higher number. The Saturday number for Rogue One was 5 million, the $3 million for Rise of Skywalker, and the 2.8 million projected for Sunday versus the 4.4 million before inflation. Now putting Rogue One's before adjusted for inflation number at $498 million, where you have now, at this point in time, Rise of Skywalker at $492 million. And so what does that mean the likely end is going to be? Well, seeing that Rise of Skywalker is now very consistently falling behind in the day-to-day tracking in comparison to not just Rogue One's adjustment for inflation numbers, but before adjustment for inflation numbers, that means that the $532 million of Rogue One is likely going to be very much out of reach at this point. So now the question is just how much over $500 million domestically is Rise of Skywalker going to make, and is it going to be enough to have it be one of the higher grossing films of this year? Will it be able, again, $5 million over $1 billion. Keep in mind, films like Joker made $1 billion, $60 million. Will it be able to catch Joker, which cost only $55 million to make? That is the territory that we're in now. The movie is slowing down so much, getting 50% drops from week to week. It is slowing down to the point of it now falling behind films that came out before it, and also many other films that are still out in theaters that are actually, day to day now going to start outperforming it. And for a Star Wars film to be in this position where it is now becoming much slower and becoming much less than a previous film that came out 3 years ago, you can go ahead and you can say, oh, it's still $1 billion, it's still a win. And I know there have been many people out there that have tried to push that point. Again, the worldwide box office for Rise of Skywalker is now, so we actually do have some of those numbers coming in, $1.026 billion, so it is getting a little bit closer to the numbers for Joker. But the fact that we're even talking about how there's a chance that it won't beat Joker or that it will barely beat Joker is something we're talking about. But getting back to the main point, think about where Star Wars was back in 2015. Think about the $2 billion, and that's before inflation, that was made by The Force Awakens. So not only have you seen a loss of over, because you got to adjust for inflation, you've seen a loss of revenue of over $1 billion, obviously before you take out marketing and production budget, but still, $1 billion between 2015 and now has now vanished. Compare this to The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi made around $625 million domestically, meaning that this film will be lucky domestically to hit around $520 million. That means another question needs to be, okay, in the last 2 years, you now have $100 million before adjusting for inflation, $100 million domestically alone that will have now just vanished. So you can go ahead and spin it all you want saying, oh, it's still a $1 billion movie, and they're going to spin that as a win. Okay, you're right. They probably are going to try and spin that as a win. But I'm going to look at the raw numbers, and I'm going to say, no, you just lost $1 billion from your first movie back in 2015 worldwide. That's massive. And then add on top of that, domestically alone, where, again, bread and butter is the United States, you've lost $100 million since your last movie. Over $100 million since your last movie when you compare the 620 of The Last Jedi to now the barely over, will likely be very barely over $500 million domestic of The Rise of Skywalker. There is no other way to spin this. There really is none. Again, Star Wars, is it making money? Again, based on my projections, right now it is indeed profitable. Yes, it made $1 billion. But if you're going to tell me that the last film and The Rise of Skywalker, the Skywalker Saga, Episode 9, is going to be coming in as one of the lowest grossing domestic runs in, of course, not just Disney, but possibly even in all of Star Wars, if you're going to try and tell me that Star Wars is in a good state right now under the tutelage of Kathleen Kennedy, Rian Johnson, and all the other knuckleheads over at Lucasfilm, you're going to be lying to yourself. But anyway, what are your thoughts on these numbers? Again, obviously, what are your thoughts on Bad Boys for Life? Did you go see that? Doolittle, the CGI just looks terrible, so I have no interest in seeing it. I have seen 1917. It is phenomenal. One of my favorite films of the year. Some of the best cinematography that I've seen in a very, very long time. And of course, Jumanji. Have you seen that yet? I mean, it's been out for a long time. I would recommend it. It's a fun time. If you've seen the last Jumanji film, I think you'll like it. But of course, what are your thoughts about the fact that not only is it going to not beat Rogue One before adjusting for inflation, but you're talking now about $1 billion loss worldwide, over $1 billion loss between Force Awakens and Episode 9, and over $100 million loss just between The Last Jedi and this film. Those are numbers that you cannot ignore, and you can try and say, oh, you're spinning the numbers yourself. I'm just giving you the math. Anyway, leave a like if you want to down below. Leave a comment as well about all this stuff. Also, please go ahead and support the channel Odin's Movie Blog Where I Am From, because January, as you all know, it's a very, 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 very slow month for a lot of YouTubers. So if you want to continue to support work that we do here on Geeks and Gamers, you know the ways to do that. But also, if you want to support us who do a lot of, kind of like freelance work for the channel, please go ahead and check out our channels as well. Think about becoming Patreon, subscribe, star supporters, stuff like that, because that is how we continue to do the work that we do. Anyway, you guys are all amazing, beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.
Hey, this is Jay with Geeks and Gamers with a special announcement. Over the past few years, several of us have been trying to complete a home that will house orphans and displaced children in the country of El Salvador. We were hoping that this home would be finished by the time Christmas rolled around in 2019. Unfortunately, we did not meet our goal to complete this home. Partnering with Jeremy and all of us here at Geeks and Gamers, and with you, we are setting up a GoFundMe to raise some funds that hopefully will help us get closer to our goal in completing this home. We will use the money to hire professionals to check out the home and also pay for some educational costs for many of the children. This will help with the burden of those raising money, and more money can be put into this home to be completed. Me and several staff members from Geeks and Gamers will be traveling to El Salvador at the end of May, that we can bring a significant amount of money to finish this project. We hope that you would want to partner with us in this as well. So please click on the link, read about it, and do the best that you can. Thank you so much.